are ready in their seats. If you need the translation, please use the headset. Dear friends, I would like to congratulate you once again with the opening. So we are kicking off.
Друзья, всем добрый день.
Good morning, dear friends.
Меня зовут Андрей Пуртов.
My name is Andrei Portov. I'm a curator of the program marketing and brand manager at the British High School of Design. I will be moderating and hosting this session about the future of traveling.
Люди во все времена хотели узнать будущее.
Because people really wanted to find out about the future all the time. And they also actually thought about the futurology, about the foresight, about the fantasy and so on. People really wanted to find out trends, wanted to understand the very weak signals, how the situation may develop in the future. However, the truth is, the future is not really defined for us. It doesn't really come out from the past. We are not able actually to keep drawing the lines from the past into the future. We cannot really interpolate them into the future. We cannot really forecast that the outcome is going to be 5% more this year than the last year. Sometimes we also may have these black swans like this crisis situation like COVID-19, and they can really disturb the line of the way of life we had. I used to moderate a business forum last year in UFO, and Graham Cook was also making a speech there of the president of the WTO, UNWTO, and he actually gave a lot of information showing that the international travel market fell down significantly, and the expected growth of the international travel market was about $700 million last year, but there was a real fall, even much more. There was a fall of more than 40% took place last year. Nobody expected it. So the travel business and the travel regulators are trying to find ways out of this situation, because this fall was actually more than dramatic. It was not just $300 billion in the travel industry, but there is also a very big multiplicator of the travel industry, and it is now 4 by UNWTO, because $1 generated in the travel industry can generate $4 more in a related industry. So the total losses of the global economy is about $2.3 billion. These figures are really fantastic, badly fantastic. And many experts taking part in this session think that the world won't be as it used to be in the past. And what do we need to do in order to give a new acceleration to the travel industry? These are the questions we would like to deal with at this session. On one hand, we have to look at the trends, because the future is actually identified by some trends, by economic, by pandemic, by environmental ones. But, however, the future is also determined by the actions of strong market players who can really initiate some anti-crisis solutions, which can really lead to the growth in some segments of the travel industry in some other destinations. And in this case, we can really rethink the travel industry, and we will do our best in order to bring the situation to previous positions, and we will try to achieve a growth by 2023-24. So today we will talk about two main things. First, these are trends. What is something changing objectively in the world in terms of technology, what can really have an impact on the travel market. On the other hand, these are the actions of the market, of the regulators, the National Travel Agency, of the UNWTO, of the travel infrastructure operators, and so on. So today we'll also try to unite the expertise of those people who will be speaking about this, and we'll also try to draw a picture and to propose you ways how to restore the travel market. That was a short introduction. And also would like to give you a small metaphor If you are interested in Formula One race, when one speeder, one racer is willing to take over the other one, it's quite difficult to make on the straight line, because on the straight line all the cars can really go very fast at high speed, and there are few chances to maneuvers. But if you make a curve, if you are really a very skillful driver and a racer, if you are really more risk tolerant, and if you really can choose a more dangerous but even shorter curve, you can take over the race ahead of you. That's why I think the travel industry is just before this kind of curve, because if we are on a straight line, we are really driving 300 kilometers an hour, we're not able to drive into this curve, into this turn, because we can really have the crash which Ayrton Senna had almost 30 years ago. But now we have a chance actually to take over all our competitors. Now we have a momentum for all big changes. And all the territories which won't be conservative, which will be able to change, they will have a chance in a post-pandemic travel landscape to take the better positions. Now we have unique positions, and also like there is the Chinese word for crisis means new opportunities. Let's talk about new opportunities, and we will try to find them. Thank you very much for your attention. So I'd like to give the floor to our first speaker, to the Deputy Head of the Federal Agency for Tourism, Elena Lysenkova. Elena, you're welcome.
Спасибо, Андрей.
Thank you, Andrei.
Да, я думаю, что туризм точно сейчас...
I think that the travel market will use all the turns, all the curves in order to take over the competitors.
Конечно же, туристическая отрасль...
It is absolutely true that the travel market has been actually going through different turns and curves, so we actually have been pushed from one side to another one, and we actually probably have to stop taking over each other. Maybe we really need to run along together with the other competitors on one line. So we have in the travel industry a lot of human capital, and if we talk about some breakthrough trends, global breakthrough trends, which may also have an impact on us, we should already start talking about the current hygienic and medical situation in the world and in other countries. What does it mean for us? It's kind of turbulence. When some of the regions may really impose different restrictions, it's something what we need to take into account our operational work. Sometimes we need to redirect the traveler streams. Sometimes we need also to change the alternative programs when you're, for example, on the road, on the cruise. It is also some limitations for the inbound tourism, and also we are currently waiting for a significant inbound tourism, and also we know that our colleagues are waiting for Russians to go to them, but that's the reality we need to learn how to live in. We need to actually comply with all the external requirements. We need to move forward because we understand it really well, and we have been discussing at many different Russian and international platforms, because the current state of pandemic the world is in and is changing. COVID-19 strains, they're here and they will be here. We just need to learn how to keep the social distance, how to continue traveling. We not need to adapt our products to this specific requirements, and this is the first global trend. As soon as we are able to overcome it, we will be able to restart the international travel exchange, and all this actual blood system of the international tourism will start flowing again. Without it, the industry is not able to live. We showed really the breakthrough opportunities of our work last year and this year, thanks to our
Но в нашей стране
internal potential, and we have a lot of in our country, including the e-visas, to welcome the foreign travelers. As for Russia, Russia is also pretty attracting for the international travel interest, and is very good for the country. So very attractive for the whole business, and we are really waiting for the time when the inbound tourism can really flow at a full stream.
я уверена, что
As for the title of the session, Show Must Go On, your colleagues can really confirm that the main trend of the travel industry is the emotion. But the people actually don't go to hotels. People don't go actually to particular hotels. There are a few exceptions, certainly. The people do would go in order to get emotions, be really creative, to see something what they didn't see, to try to do something what they didn't do before. And they search for these new routes, for the new alternatives. It is a foundation of the new travel product format. We should be able not only to develop or create these products, we should also be able to present it. And this is the basis for the successful business in the travel market. So the search for new ideas, new directions, the restart, which we had to do. For example, this year we did the travel cashback for the domestic traveling, but also many companies forgot, for example, how to make good offers within very strict restrictions, how to make it really attractive, how to make the online acquiring, how to adopt the product in order to be sold better among the others. And this is just a trend, and the ones who are actually faster, more delicious, and can offer a better product at more affordable price can really win. And I'm sitting here at the central stage, and I'm looking at all the stands here, and now I can all see that how many participants are trying to do it, and they are not losing their authenticity and identically in the travel market. Because every single traveler should be able to choose the best option for him or herself. It's absolutely true, and another trend I would like to point out, because there are many trends, and I can also really talk all the time here. I will also talk how often the people now are going to traveling, how much time they spend on traveling.
One of the trends last year, which started before the pandemic, is the increase in the number of trips, but shortening of the length of each one of those trips, and making the decision about such trips. Everything is cut, everything is shortening. 10, 15 years ago, we were talking about trips of 12, 14, 16 days. Today, the average time for a trip is 7 days. If we're talking about vacations and weekend trips of 2.5 days, that's where it's going. The eco-tourism is also integrated into our programs and packages. People choose to explore the region where they live or the adjacent one where they can travel by train or by car, and we have to consider it when we form new traveling products and routes. Tourists strive for emotions, and people want to travel, want to get these new emotions. That's an integral part of their life. When we think about the state support measures, when we work with regional authorities on the development of tourism, when we work with all key business stakeholders, we use these and some other key trends that will allow all of us to see the growth of the tourism traffic and the growth of revenues for the entire industry.
Елена, скажите, пожалуйста, а вот какие вы видите
Елена,
перспективы наиболее, может быть, значимых
What
развитии
are the
других видов туризма,
prospects for some new types of tourism, maybe not so typical or conventional here in Russia? Where do you see the source of growth? Will it be cultural, restoration of cultural and edutainment tourism, or will be there flows to new destinations that were not known in the past, or will there be some kind of alternative types of tourism that nobody knew about here in Russia? For example, I read about the ship cruise tourism, or the tourism to the Arctic. How would you assess the prospects of such relatively new destinations? That's a great question. On our long list, we have 52 types of tourism. There are very exotic and rare types of tourism, but I wouldn't say cultural or edutainment tourism is the kind that suffered the most. No. If we think about last year and early this year, it's actually restoring pretty good. But business tourism, MICE tourism, did suffer. It's hurting. There are all these limitations in the Russian Federation regions. If we talk about new types of tourism that boomed last year, and where there's real dialogue. These are cruises, sea, topical cruises with special topics. We did some cruises for the youth. There's also what they call railway cruises. In the past, we only knew Trans-Siberian routes and nothing else on that list. Now we have very great new destinations. But it's always a combination. Every cruise, if it's a cruise to Karelia, to their nature park, you will get culture there, you will get education, environment, food. Everything is there. It's a combination. So I would say the main motive can be one type of tourism, but there are other types added to it. We just returned from Khakassia to launch this new tourism destination, the Sayana-Shushenskaya hydroelectric plant. Never in the past they allowed tourists at the station. And when you're standing at the top of the dam, you are looking at all this water falling down, and it's higher than the Moscow State University building. And the guides tell you how it was built and how it's in operation now, and it's really dizzy when you stand on the top of that dam. It's so high. It's easy to drop your phone from that height, and it's an excellent destination. It's an integral part of any itinerary, and you can be part of environmental tourism, and we have what we call industrial tourism. For some packages, it's also very important. When youth or young kids go from one industrial site to another, they learn about production, equipment, they talk to those who work at those industrial plants. They may be interested in human achievements in technology. It's just as interesting as going up to the peak of the mountain or travel the unique route and watch the animals or do something like else. With your permission, one more question to you. As a tourist, not as a moderator, I love traveling. I love eco-tourism. I do trekking and camping with my family. If it's in the Azor or Canary Islands, everything is marked. You see all the signs, how much else you need to walk to the nearest source of water. But in Russia, in Kamchatka, in the mountains of Altai, there are no such signs. And it's a problem. As far as I know,
работают там, скажем, с большой Байкальской тропой, там энтузиасты, волонтеры работают.
There are enthusiasts who work with those tracks in Baikal or South Urals. We are looking at you, waiting your support. Can you share with us? Maybe there are some measures to support promising types of tourism, especially in these post-pandemic times. Well, for sure, if we talk about environmental eco-tourism, there's a lot to be done. We have millions of kilometers of paths and tracks, but they are not equipped. They are not safe. There is no navigation, no signs. Our agency can offer grants to companies, and it's going to be implemented at the level of municipalities, local municipal organizations need support, and they should be responsible for such marks and signs, and also private investors who operate such a track, making them longer, more interesting, but at the same time, there are quite a few such initiatives. You mentioned that Baikal Lake route, and there are excellent trekking routes in South Urals and other regions. Elsewhere, in different attraction points, we need some work together here with volunteers and regional authorities and from the Ministry of Natural Resources, because it's their responsibility as well, and also from all business stakeholders, so that it's comfortable for us to travel. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give the floor to our next presenter, Olga Zakharova. She is from the Agency of Strategic Initiatives. She is responsible for tourism there.
Спасибо, Андрей. Да, добрый день всем. Надо сказать, что...
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me keep standing. I cannot talk about tourism if I sit. Welcome if you are with us online. Let me remind all of you that this is an international conference. We have international speakers. They're watching Russia, and they are waiting for tourists from Russia. I disagree with some of the numbers that were mentioned. It's my typical thing. I'm always against everything. Why do I disagree? Until I see real stats where you show that tourism is the industry that suffered the most, I will not believe it. Think the Republic of Karelia. The hotels are full. Try to arrive to the Republic of Dagestan here in Russia. Hotels are full. Try and book a tour or try to book a hotel in some of the Russian regions. They're all full. I disagree that why are we trying to make our situation look worse, as if everything is so bad and so on, asking for support measures. No, it won't work like that. If your goal is to survive, then why move forward? Keep on surviving. If you want to look for new niches, then let's be more progressive. Why do we want to work with trends? Our Agency for Strategic Initiatives is aimed at working with trends. We need to
И вот это умеют сейчас делать не все.
predict the behavior of the customers. And not everyone knows how to do that. We offer general products, and if you work with specific trends, you will have advantages over your competitors. Industrial tourism, this is something that we started develop last year when we designed the methodology, and people did not understand what industrial tourism meant. First we came to the governors and we said, colleagues, let's develop industrial tourism. The regional governors said, yes, let's do that. And we kept on proselytizing like that. We spoke with local governors, with the local ministers of tourism or industry. Then we went to industrial companies. They looked so surprised. They had those huge round eyes, very surprised, perplexed. They didn't have any enthusiasm. And then we went to the university students and we invited students, university students. They helped us design those programs, and then we sent students to those industrial companies, and the students were saying something, and all of a sudden the company representatives were more enthusiastic. They wanted to present their point of view. It's about career paths and increasing sales and so on. 15% of companies are innovators. They are innovators. 68% are followers. Choose where you're going to be, in what segment. Tourism has changed. According to the stats, 78% of people buy their airline tickets themselves. What is the role of the tour operator then? Why would a traveler go to a tour operator? If the tour operator offers something standard, it makes no sense. I can book my tickets myself, I can book my hotel myself, I can do everything myself. Why would I need a tour operator? Why would I pay money to the tour operator? Only 8% will go to tourism agency. There's greater demand on tour guides, up by 46%. When people 146%. When they design their trips, their travels, they want a really cool guide who can give them the history of that place, show them some interesting folks, tell them about something unique, not the standard stuff. 37% of travelers booked their destinations for recreation and work. You know, there's remote work now. Where are those people? They want to travel and work at the same time. They have their computer under their arm and they go on business trips and they stay for the weekend for recreation in the same region. That's why 18% plan to combine traveling with work. I will give you some numbers and then we'll keep on talking about trends. We see how there are trekking routes that are going to be popular, and it is really true. People want to clear their lungs. People want to breathe in forest air. People want impressions. They don't want to stay at home. It's about authenticity. People want to go to where other people are. When we looked at those industrial tourism programs and the unique tourism route accelerator, there was this question: what are your main characters for your trip? For industrial tourism, you know who they named? Can you guess? Give me some. Not the workers, but it's good that you said that they wanted to meet the Director General of this company. PR people need to be braver. They were those who spoke about dynasties and how there are dynasties of people who bake bread and so on. People travel to visit other people. Another point is contrast. Some say that if a person has a small flat, if they work a blue collar and they get 25,000 rubles, you need to offer them cheap services. It's not true. If I go to travel, I want this contrast. I was saving my money for the traveling. Why cannot I afford something bigger? Think about whether you're offering the right kind of product. For example, people want to go to health resorts. There are trade unions who send their employees to those resorts, and a person comes. This person worked so hard. He goes away from, he works hard at this company, but it doesn't get anything special at that health resort. When a person works at an industrial enterprise and then the company gives him a really cool vacation program, a contrast, he gets motivation to work, earn more, motivate others, and things like that. Storytelling, this is a cool thing where we are still behind, and it means we have room for improvement here. We visited one of the factories in the Yaroslavl region, which makes fabric and textiles, and they have these audio programs where you learn the history of that plant, the history of those workers, how you travel around the workshops, you look at those huge heaps of cotton, and then they ask you 3 questions.
What will you do in order to change the situation you currently see? I think it's a very deep dive into the life of this particular plant or enterprise, because you were able to see the processing machine Valentina Tereshko used to work on before going to space. I think the storytelling is an important thing. You cannot only make a list of items or sites you have to visit. In our team, Andrei can reconfirm, we need actually to see what the tour operator usually offer. That's a set of different sites. It's not really interesting, because the traveler should be really get excited by your description when you offer anything to him or her. He doesn't may not know any some of the things. When I was actually in Murmansk, I brought this chocolate from Murmansk. That was something what I really wanted to show you here. This chocolate is not a normal one, not a standard one. Let us look at this particular tile. Tereberka, the shine, tundra, and the deep. And I also would like to tell you what is written here. Tereberka, the chocolate with a northern soul. It sounds great in Russia. Tereberka is an old fisherman village at the Barents of Sea at the edge of the earth. And now you can really imagine this side, the sound of the sea. This is the part of this mysterious place, and the part of this place is now in your hands. We added this Arctic flavor to this dark chocolate and filled it with the energy of the Northern Sea. Close your eyes and feel yourself among the sea waves and really breathe with the sea wind. And it's cool, we really understand what it is about. We haven't been to Tereberka, but we really decided to go there right now because it sounds really beautiful. Oh, tundra. Tundra gives you a lot of a significant impression because it's a very good, smooth, green green carpet. We have a lot of different bushes and trees.
Вот прям все сразу.
That's beautiful. You can really imagine it. Or Hekase, as Elena said,
Привезла конфеты.
to open the hydro
Конфеты
power plant.
обложки сказала.
I also brought some sweets from there, and now you can see these labels, because these labels
Да, как бы
mean the history of the place. Here you can also find out why Abakan is Abakan. You can really understand how actually this word was created. That's the bear blood. And you can also read here about the bad bear when the good night came and
названий
won over the bear.
на их языке. В общем, я про что хочу сказать.
What I would like to tell you about,
Создавать продукт.
you shouldn't create the products just
Возможность рассказать.
because you don't understand it. You should use the opportunity to tell more about your region, about your sub-brands.
Бренда просто сегодня
As for the brand, Kamchatka is not enough as to be a brand, because people really ask, I have money to go there, and then he is asked,
был
have you been to Kamchatka? Yeah, I've been there, and you won't come back to you again.
бренды.
But in order to come back, you need to also have some brands like Commodore Islands,
Толбачек.
or
Должно быть Курильское.
Talbachik volcano, or Lake Kurilsko, where the bears can really catch fish and you can watch it. And when the people ask, have you been to Commodore Islands? Have you been to Lake Kurilsko? Yes, I've been there. So in this case, people can say, can really come back to Commodore Islands. That's Kamchatka.
Турист не хочет быть сегодня просто
The travelers don't really want to be just travelers today. Just someone who is watching around, you would like to be explorers.
что-то новое.
They really would like to discover something new. If you really made a picture of a good place, and you can also collect 1,000 likes on Facebook, and then people can call you and ask where it is and ask you for this information.
Это скорее к инфраструктуре. Я понимаю,
As for the concept, this is more about the infrastructure. We'll also be talking about it. It is due to our object for staying, and it is also related with the products you manufacture.
как Лена сказала, ждет бизнес
As
границ. Да?
Elena said, she's waiting for the opening of the borders. Why are you waiting? The answer is all the mic cannot be translated.
Бизнес ждет открытия.
Why
Все очень просто.
is business waiting for borders to be open? Because someone actually has created a travel product, marketed it somewhere, and now you can really take this foreign product and offer here in Russia. And why the Russians are loved in the whole world? Because we bring money, and Russians are really liked everywhere. If you're a Russian, you can get everything in the Russian language. You can be offered different bags, different products, and different countries, because the Russians spend
Вроде как,
more money than anyone else.
а мы не можем, как будто бы
But no, we are here in Russia, and we don't really see these buyers. We really wait for anyone to come here
продукт.
in order to leave money here in buying our travel product. Guys, we need to think about it really seriously, because something what you can really create right now here, because there is a new market niche, it's something what you can really use a benefit for the future.
Это и для внутреннего туризма, и для
It's something what is really good for the inbound and outbound tourism. You can really surprise those you used to work with in the past. It is not really good to work with them in the past. But if you really are willing to bring the money out of the country, you have to survive. That's the only thing. I have to finish. Now I have to be really fast about the evolution. We were talking about the infrastructure, so if we talk about the hotels, and they're really moving to the conceptual
боты,
accommodation
деревьях и так далее.
tools like houseboats, tree homes, glampings.
Бежать, куда бегут все.
You don't need to run
В кемпинге не такая
to
простая,
the
как
point
на первый взгляд.
where everybody is running to. The story about the glamping is not really simple.
Третий год
you can really start getting it paid off on year 3. On year 3, you will still be investing in order to renew your rooms. You can only work when you have a kind of chain of these glampings in different regions. You need to diversify your business, and those who create glampings, they are also tour operators like Discovery Travel or Green Way. These companies are also tour operators. They used to concentrate on the cities, and they were disregarding remote areas, and now everybody is willing to come closer to nature, to live somewhere, stay somewhere outside of the city. As for the marketing, now we need to position the product to the target audience, and Andre is fighting against it every single day. Your product cannot be for everyone, never, ever. There was a point on a map, and now the emotions, not Krasnodar Kuzbas, not the emotions. Anton is staying here from Kemerovo, for example. That's the industrial tourism, and you can also get very good emotions. You can also tell we have so many plans and minds, and now you can already go to the restaurant next to a very old mine. You can also go to the mine rail cars go to the mine. You can also try the coal ice cream there. Then you can go to open pit where you will be having the coal symphony. You need to think deeper. You need to think more interesting. If you talk about the individual marketing thing through the site, because the future is behind the integration into the system, because the travel business should be an open ecosystem. You shouldn't compete with each other. You should also include the micro business into yourself. I went to Kerala. I also found a very good salt maker. I also find someone who was manufacturing this particular chocolate in the Murmansk region, and we made a very good joint itinerary. You can go also visit the salt maker and the chief cooks from the whole world buy this salt from here. So we talked about the storytelling. When now folks about the travel stream, we need to increase the travel stream. Nobody think about the money. Why do you need this travel stream? You can also bring all these people to a particular site. How you can really earn money on it? Because you are the business, you're about economy, and the more service you have in the region, and your task is actually to make the customer happy and to let the customer spend money, and this will make everybody happy. So if you talk about the average ticket, about the average number of nights stayed, now about the technology. First of all, you need to predict the demand of the consumers. Many people need the ecotourism, the industrial tourism, or edutainment, and the AI technologies are going forward and are currently being used in the travel industry. But low internet speed, on one thing it is a good thing, or it is also a bad thing at the same time. When investors would like to invest, they usually look whether the internet is available, because there are a lot of people working come there. I also remember that people used to pay for it, and the people also came actually from big cities. You also would like to pay wireless, and they don't really want to have money in their hands, and the contactless payments will be growing. And you also should be able to learn how to sell through the when the people are paid by their cards, by their phones. And now we are selling images, but in the future we'll be selling VR technologies. Let's imagine you have 2 hotels. I can choose one hotel. This hotel is good, has a good ranking. Another one is even better with a higher ranking. But if you talk about a millennial, they really look at this different, because they play computer games. What do they do? Because VR technologies can also allow you to show you the hotel design, to travel to the hotel territory, and a really advanced hotel
поехали туда. Это для них становится
can be
важным.
really can attract these modern guys.
А дальше будет Сирия.
If you have the manual search, or then we can use this series. Siri, find me the best 5 spa hotels. And if your sites are not really adopted and you cannot really connect to Siri to Google Assist, you will be losing
Продукт.
the product.
Про контрастность проговорили. Ну, давайте
So,
закончим.
Andrei, I will finish my speech now.
Всему этому мы учим на нашем проекте «Открой».
This is something what we really give you within our project Open Discover Russia.
Андрей делает эту программу.
And Andrei is making this program, this accelerator, and he can really tell you a lot of things about it.
Ольга, спасибо огромное.
Thank you, Olga. It was a very interesting and expressive speech. We can really thank you. I was awakened during your speech. Now we keep moving forward. Now I would like to announce the next speaker. This is Florian Zain-Schmidt. This is the head of the Azeri Travel Bureau. I would like to show Florian on the screen. He will be speaking online. Just I would like to tell you a couple words about the Azerbaijan. I discovered this country 2 years ago. Just before the pandemic, I made a project for one of the customers in Baku, and I also would like to keep working with this country. The speech should be brilliant.
Andrei, welcome, fellow co-speakers, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome from Baku. What a speech. The vibes arrived here in summer sunny Baku, so nothing lost of the energy between this live event in Moscow and here in Baku. Great to see Ottich happening again, and especially with so many visitors physically on site. Russia was among the first destination which opened and resumed air travel with Azerbaijan, and currently there is already more than 30 flights per week with different air carriers servicing and connecting the two countries. Let me quickly tell you a little bit on how we see basically the future of tourism here. We have adopted our strategy quite quickly, and we think there will be two elements which will really play a crucial role. Is like, the first is, I think we all agree, is on standardized travel protocols and a kind of like a more equalized approach for travel. And the second, which really refers to us ourselves here, is how will we bring a tourism destination alive in the future among a lot of good competitors outside. And in Azerbaijan, we follow the approach that we will redevelop and sustain on what we have. So basically, we develop and based our existing unique experiences, all the unique features Azerbaijan has, we are enforcing and will continue to reinforce over the next years. And these simple projects, more advanced and long-term strategies, for example, restoration work, renovation work, investment in new infrastructure. Andrei, you mentioned, for example, hiking routes. I will come to that topic, but also focusing on really creating new experiences which will be relevant for the various source markets. Let me highlight some of these unique experiences and products we have been working on and continue to work on. One dimension I would describe as ecotourism. For example, we have launched half a year ago a product and a brochure and experiences on bird watching. Azerbaijan is one of the top global spaces for bird watchers. The difference between the Caspian Sea and the Caucasus Mountains brings millions of birds to the country every year, twice a year. So this is one of the experiences. Another one, we're currently constructing the Mud Volcano Experience Center. That's the first mud volcano experience center in the world. Azerbaijan houses 80% of all world's mud volcanoes, and it will be really an edutainment place for families to go like to zip line over mud volcanoes, to touch, to feel, to take mud baths, and all these linked to the UNESCO heritage site of Gobustan in near proximity. Another important topic we have been doing for a year and a half now, we have been marking treks and hikes. For the time being, it's around 30 hikes. We have been wayfinding and marking with local experts and professionals. We are now also working on Trans-Caucasus trails, on several day treks crossing the beautiful Caucasus Mountains in Azerbaijan, and maybe in future also to neighboring Georgia. We have been partnering another project with Slow Food International. Slow Food is the largest NGO looking after good, clean and fair food. And we want to not only talk about Azerbaijani food, we want to make every tourist a co-producer, to go there, to join farmers, to join local people in the villages and see how a product is basically coming out. How does the cheese, how is the cheese produced, for example? For that, we create one slow food travel destination, Caucasus, which is stretching around the area of Sheki, which was, as you know, last year also invested in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Another project is local guest houses. We are aware that basically quality budget accommodation is not only needed for international, but as much for domestic tourism. We are basically supporting socially and with infrastructure local guest houses in the regions to basically raise their quality, to raise their standards, and put them together in a network of suppliers to have a better access to the market. Another important product is and unique product. All what I mentioned until now is unique, is naphthalene. Naphthalene oil. We have been investing a lot in naphthalene. We have been building a naphthalene oil pavilion, kind of an experience center. We have been installing 10 kilometers of cycling tracks. We have a velo taxi. We are now building also amphitheater for entertainment. So even naphthalene, which is like a very important and unique source for tourism here in Azerbaijan, there is novelties, there is innovation brought to the product. Last not least, obviously the liberation of the occupied territories play an important role for future tourism development here. There is, apart from Shusha and many other regions, a lot of plans and projects on how we see basically also the future of Karabakh shining. Let me quickly talk about something we already got accustomed over the last year and a half, measures for safe traveling. We have a program, a national program launched together, audited by PwC, and this is a program both for hotels, for travel agencies, for tour guides. It's called Sahman. Sahman in Azerbaijani means tidiness. In English, the abbreviation would be standing for sanitation and hygiene methods and norm, and that's something to more than 800 basically auditors and monitoring sessions we are conducting here per week. So this also will ensure obviously a safe travel environment, which will be important for the future. And just for your information, by now in Azerbaijan, more than 6.5 million vaccines have been rolled out. So I think that's also a leading figure here in the region. Mentioned by my fellow co-speakers, digital transformation. We have been launching Azerbaijan 101. That's an e-learning platform for everyone globally who wants to engage with Azerbaijan, who wants to learn what's new, what's happening. We're having weekly updates on new courses. Some of them we do live fam trips, even walking through and guiding live through the destination. Others are really specialized courses on manifold topics, what you can do and how you can spend your time here in the country. We have launched the Tourism Training and Certification Center online. Basically, we want to support our people who are working in the industry to get more experience, to get better knowledge. We have partnered with Achlé, basically also in co-certifying all these trainings, so that our people working in tourism and hospitality also get basically an international recognized certificate. Domestic tourism, one of the big game changers since the last year. Our campaign, Majara Yakhandade, meaning the adventure is near, successfully launched. We're currently working on a domestic booking platform, which is really aiming to link the small and medium guest houses, hotels in the regions to get access to the market. And this is in cooperation with tour operators, travel agencies, so everyone should benefit a fair share from such a platform. Another one is a regional innovation project and so on. So I don't wanna go too deep in activities. What is next, and this is also already coming to the end of my presentation. It's definitely a year of transition. We are at a transition. I don't think the show must go on. The show will go on and definitely will go on. It's just how much we take out of it. We have here in Azerbaijan fully rolled out our also marketing and sales activities. Russia is one of our key priority markets, and this is why we're very proud to participate at Ottich this year with 12 partners. Among them is Nakhchivan Republic, Azerbaijan Airlines, the Jewish Heritage Village from Red Village near Guba, Hotel Association, and many partners from travel industry. So apart from that, digital campaigns. Also soon you will see Azerbaijan branded Aero Express, basically. So we want you to have an eye on our destination. Hopefully we will soon see you here in person. Until then, please visit our stand and our partners, F1801 in Pavilion Forum. We are here the next days for you to discuss with you all possible opportunities. Откройте для себя Азербайджан и мы ждем вас. Спасибо большое за внимание.
And we are waiting for you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Спасибо большое, Florian.
Thank you, Florian. Let me ask you one question. Before the session, I looked at your presentation. I see lots of initiatives at Azerbaijani Tourism Bureau in terms of digitalization, innovations. Please share your experience. How do you train local tour business? Do local companies in Azerbaijan understand that the world changed? Do they accept your initiatives? Maybe there are some secrets how you involve Azerbaijani tourism business into your initiatives. Thank you.
I think one of the examples to engage with tourism business is the launch of our tourism training and certification center, where we provide free of charge courses which are certified. This is how we basically connect with through knowledge. On the other hand, we have an industry relations team, basically permanently in connection with our industry partners, but also through our very strong associations here, Azerbaijan Hotel Association and Association of tour operators and travel agencies and tour guides. I think the success is in how to collaborate with the industry associations, how to bring them on board, how to synergize public and private interests, and this is where basically our energy mainly goes over the past years and also in future. Its cooperation is we can only be as good as our industry partners are, and we can only provide stages, umbrellas, shells for the industry to join our initiatives. And this is basically also the main success criteria for us. Is industry partners on board, or basically are we working in different directions?
Благодарю, Флориан. Спасибо за замечательный доклад.
Thank you, Florian. Thank you for excellent presentation. And let me introduce to you Ahmed Youssef, Chairman of the Council for the Development of Tourism in the Republic of Egypt.
Thank you so much. I will try to be quick and short in the remaining few minutes of the session. Let's talk about opportunities that happened with the crisis of this pandemic. Well, pollution decreased worldwide more than 30%, and I have lots of friends that go to the Red Sea and dive. They told me that they never saw the sea as this clear before. Governments around the world addressed that how much tourism is very important for societies and economies. That's why governments worldwide decided to support tourism in many ways heavily. And I believe that this support will continue even after the pandemic. When it comes to domestic traveling, because lots of people that likes traveling was not being able to travel outside their countries, they started to discover their nature, their countries in many different ways. So I believe that different countries benefited actually from this crisis to have a very good exploration of their countries. Now, if we are going to talk about travel trends, lots of things have changed. We think that people will start traveling, and they actually start traveling to open spaces like natural places or sun and sea, and visiting environmental places, not really archaeological sites or museums so far. And yes, I agree that the business traveling have been got hit when it comes to the MICE or incentive and meeting business. For us as Egyptian Tourism Promotion Board, our real challenge was to communicate to people and to make them aware of the pandemic. What are the measures that we as Egypt have been made in different points of tourism, airliners, hotels, etc. It was very important to us, though we didn't receive people traveling to Egypt for a long time, but we needed to make them connect with Egypt as a destination and as products. That's why we were insisting to have still lots of activities like archaeological discoveries. For you who maybe followed the Mummies Parade, it was a real success worldwide, and it was followed around the world. We like people and travelers, and we encourage them to tell stories of their own while traveling to Egypt, sharing their memories, videos via our platform or their own platform. The importance of social media really increased in the past few months with this pandemic. Again, I wouldn't like my speech to be very long, especially that we are about to conclude. However, I would like to share two short videos with you. One of them represents what kind of communication we have been doing, showing people our destinations and the products, at the same time showing them how can you do your tourism while having precautionary measures. And the other video represents a very big successful event that we have been preparing to launch for a long time, which was the Mummy Parade. Well, if you have any questions, please visit our Egyptian booth. I'm happy that this year we are a partner country, and stay safe and have a lovely day. Thank you.
Большое спасибо. Большое спасибо, господин Исеф. Разрешите задать вам один...
Thank you, Mr. Youssef. Let me ask you a question.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much, Mr. Youssef. Let me ask you one question. I have never been to Egypt. I still dream to go to your country, somewhere in the south,
Южнее Марса Алама, там практически...
to the south of Marsa Alam, at the border with Sudan, maybe put a glamping there. Let me ask you this.
Российские туристы...
Will Russian tourists know some new Egypt in terms of your new strategy? Will there be any new products or new communications? What new things are we to expect in terms of opening up Egypt?
Well, my goal actually is to make lots of people visit Egypt, stay longer and see much more products that we normally have to offer. Now we have lots of programs to tie the Red Sea with the Nile Valley. That will be Cairo, Luxor and Aswan. Actually, if you visit Marsa Alam one day, it is only 3 hours from Aswan, where you can visit lots of places. One of the iconic places is the High Dam, for example, and we had help from our friends, the Russians, to build it, and lots of other exciting places. Let me tell you that one of the travel trends, for example, for people, not only to visit the country as destinations and see the products like the diving or leisure or whatever, it is also about experiencing the country, seeing the local people, trying the local food, listening to local music, and that's actually the trend we are building on. The human element is very important within our campaigns and our communication, and I think maybe one of the positive things about the pandemic that makes us appreciate the blessings we are here just to connect with each other and build on that for the future.
Спасибо большое. Прекрасно.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation and great videos. Our final speaker is Alessandra Priante from UNWTO.
Thank you, Mr. Purtov, for introducing. Hello. Добрый день, дорогие друзья. I am now currently in Lisbon because I'm attending the biggest European cyclist conference called Velocity. And it's a real pleasure to greet you all today. I hope that my next time I will be live, and this is definitely going to be soon, I hope. Russia is a very valuable member of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. It's one of the biggest tourism markets, both inbound and outbound. And when I received the invitation to participate in this conference, I accepted with a lot of pleasure, because we're not just here to discuss the future of global tourism. We are here to make a statement, which I fully endorse, which is the show must go on. And definitely tourism goes and will go on. And we've agreed with the organizers to share some of our global data, which of course are not nice data. But definitely it is very important that we understand where we're coming from, which doesn't mean that we need to sort of, hide behind the data and just be sad. I want to therefore praise you one more time and endorse fully the spirit of this conference, which is we will rock tourism. So very briefly, we as United Nations World Tourism Organization have the pleasure and the duty to photograph how are the global trends. And what we've done during this pandemic, we've increased the frequency for our release of data. So we've done it every 2 months. We're about to release the latest ones, which will include the summer, at the end of September. But as we were at the end of May, we're still registering a decline of 85% compared to 2019. And this is a sign that things are not really going well at all, but this is kind of obvious because travel is absolutely not resumed at an international level, intercontinental, let alone. For example, in Europe, we received just a limited number of Americans, but the Russian tourists were not really a big portion of tourism in Europe as it used to be in the past, obviously. One of the major reasons for this being is not only the travel limitations, but also the lack of coordination between countries, also in terms of dialogue between health prospects. The impact at a macroeconomic level is huge, enormous. We're recording over 120 million direct tourism jobs lost, maybe even more, of which 70 million in the region of Europe. And of course, our Europe at the United Nations includes, as I was saying, not only Russia, but also countries like Turkey, Israel, and many other Central Asian countries, which normally represent a very big and important part of the tourism market overall, globally. So it's money lost. It's also investments, and investments not only in the general, let's say, growth, but also in the protection of natural heritage, cultural heritage. So it's critical elements that we had before and we don't have anymore, because obviously the major money needed to go to support the lifeline of the SMEs that account for the tourism sector, especially in Europe. Recently, we've even done a study together with our sister agency, and we actually realized that the impact is really very, very big, because at a global level, we're talking about trillions of dollars lost in terms of economic losses. Obviously, us at UNWTO, being the United Nations agency devoted to sustainable, responsible, and universally accessible tourism, the immediate thing we've done is we focused on restart of tourism. So we asked ourselves, okay, this is our time. We wore the blue helmets of the United Nations to rescue and save tourism at a global level, and we've done many things in many areas. We started from, for example, asking and realizing, okay, when are we going to go back to the pre-pandemic levels? We're actually, after a large survey that we've done, we're getting more and more answers towards the fact that 2024, no sooner, is going to be the year where we can really go back to pre-pandemic levels. Let's not forget that if we look at the data, those data that I mentioned, the minus 85, which is enormous, okay? It basically means that if at the end of 2019 we had 1.5 billion international tourists, which means basically 20% of the overall population in the world, we've lost 1 billion. We went back to the values of 1990. And in some countries, we went back to zero because they were very recent economies who put themselves into tourism very, very recently. So the core issues that are really emerging and are really present at the moment that we all need to look at in order to make sure that you rock, you need to have a band. So you need to have all the elements in place. So we need to fix these 4 things, which is, first of all, jobs and skills. Especially in some destinations in Europe, which reopened during this summer, there was a significant lack of skills and jobs. So it's not just jobs lost, it's skills. It's like people that used to work seasons, they're not doing that anymore. So what are we gonna do about this? How are we gonna step it up? The other element, coordination and collaboration, absolutely fundamental. Because if we don't coordinate ourselves and collaborate, we're basically not really achieving much because we're speaking to ourselves. Obviously, if Russia is vaccinated with a different vaccine, we in the European Union have to find a way to create a dialogue with Russia. And when I say we, I say because the UNWTO is based in Madrid. So we were in the middle of all this discussion about the EU Digital Green Pass. The other core element is now...
И ключевым элементом является следующее.
Excuse me? I'm hearing a voice. I'm saying now that we are basically working with last minute things, we should never forget that tourism is really very much about programming and managing. So we need to be able to go back to anticipate all the needs of the tourism industry, analyze it, and be able to confront it. And obviously, at the core of every policy should be sustainability. Sustainability that needs to become not more of a word, it needs to become a real fact. From us citizens in the first place, us tourists in the first place, to then all the organizations that are dealing with it. So sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. As I said before, when we're rocking, we need to be a band, and each one needs to do its job. So it is important that we do it all together at the same time in sync. Now, I would like to very briefly introduce you, just as a man, to the fact that the UNWTO intervenes and supports from the very beginning in policy guidance, in research and data, and in innovation, education, but mostly we've identified tourism for rural development as being one of the key drivers to really restart tourism properly and sustainably. We have in our website, unwto.org, many publications available, our destination trackers, our dashboards, and every other support that you might need from us is there available for all of you. So I will not go into any further details, but I would like to leave you with one simple reflection. When we're talking about tourism, we're talking about a temporary resident of a foreign country. Let's make sure that we can resume all becoming the best temporary residents of a foreign country, not just of our own country, of the neighbors, of even the neighboring cities sometimes, in the best way possible. And let's not forget that COVID has to become an opportunity, a lesson learned that we need to learn from and be better for the future. And with this, I would like to thank you very much and remain at your disposal for any further question or deepening that you might desire from UNWTO. Thank you very much. Спасибо.
Большое спасибо, Александр.
Thank you much, Alessandra. And I would like to give the floor to Olga Zaharova. She has a question. Alessandra, good morning. You have a very good earrings.
На самом деле,
And I also would like to tell you one more thing. When the pandemic started,
внимательно смотреть.
we really were watching with great attention to the UNWTO practices, and we learned a lot from many other countries. I really would like to thank you for a beautiful service, because you really provide a very good set of high-quality methods, toolkits. You collect it all over the world. We are really real fans of you. Thank you very much once again, and we really would like to see you.
Решений.
See a list of solutions. How different countries live without Russia, without Russian travelers. How do they survive?
Well, thank you very much for the congratulations. Yeah, they're nice, right? They're French, actually. They're not even Italian. I mean, I'm Italian. I'm supposed to be showcasing my own fashion. Well, that's a very good question you asked me. I have to be honest with you. I, for example, obviously went to Italy during the summer for a period of time to visit my family. And you really feel the lack of Russian tourists. Why? Because you feel the lack of the huge love, for example, the Russians have for Southern Europe, in my case, for my own country. And Russians like to really enjoy. And you feel that missed. I mean, now we're speaking in conferences, thank God, live most of the time, especially here in Europe. And one of the major things that everyone is realizing, even, you know, the cold Brussels institutions are waking up, and they're realizing that tourism is the industry of people. And if people are not happy, then tourism doesn't go well. No matter how good your tour operators or your markets are, or how good the prices are. Now, people, when they travel, especially now after the pandemic, they not only need to feel they're going into a safe place, they're going into a very beautiful place that is really going to give them unforgettable feelings. And once again, quoting from your beautiful title, we want to go back to going to live concerts, right? We want to go back to listening to a band. Listening to a band live will never be like listening to your record of the same band in your house. So we really are here to make an effort, and thank you very much for recognizing the efforts that UNWTO have done it. Without you guys, without the member states, our efforts are nothing. So we really need to thank you from the bottom of our heart, because once again, you remind us all that we are all in this together, and we can only come out of it together. So let's hope, absolutely, that next year, when we do this conference, we're all gonna be shaking hands live, talking live, and concluding this conference with a fantastic music to celebrate the return of tourism in our life.
Alessandro, thank you very much. We will be happy to see you once again at Russia at one of our events devoted to the traveling and tourism. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you to you, and have a great continuation.
Thank you very much. I would like to announce the final, in the closing part of our session. This is the signing of the 5-part interregional agreement in tourism by several Russian regions within the Russian project M12 Freeway. So I would like to invite the speakers in the first row here, and also would like to ask those who will sign this agreement to come to the stage. Elena, please stay on the stage. And I would like also to welcome the deputy head of the Moscow Committee of Tourism from Mrs. Rova, Sergei Ivanov, from the Ministry of Tourism, the department, the Sergei Sidorin from Vladimir region, and Sergei Yakovlev from the Nizhgorod Novgorod region, and Denis Spirin from Republic of Chuvashia.